Well, hello everybody. Absolutely delighted to be here today, and I'm going to try and be a little bit of a break from everything else. I've just checked my deck again and made sure there isn't a single stat, figure, or any research whatsoever. And I want to talk about mobile, but from a creative perspective. So really, I want to try and get across how to, make people love the work using mobile. And really, it's about the format, which is kind of little understood. So here's the contents. First of all, we're going to give it some context, look at the history of mobile, have a bit of fun, and then the interesting bit in the middle is the format. And I just want to get this across again from a creative perspective. And finally, the future, what's happening in 2020. And I've written a white paper, which I'm going to share. And I'm going to try and rush through, because I've got too much stuff to talk about, unfortunately. So in context, I think mobile will give creatives the chance to be madmen again. And in the days of madmen, we were experts at helping clients deal with business problems. And at some point, I think we became experts or specialists at making ads, and there's a real difference. And mobile gives us the chance to become madmen again. And with this thought, it made me think back to the days of Mad Men, and I found this in 1940. This is the first mobile phone. It's the American Army, and this was the first one in England. This is Reginald Blevin, our Postmaster General, testing out his mobile phone in his car. But actually, it wasn't until '72, the year I was born, that real mobiles came about. This phone here had a mobile telephone unit which could dial into networks. Before '72, they were all radio phones, right? So this is the first real mobile, but who remembers this? This was the first commercial model. This is '83. And it's Martin Cooper. I remember it being a lot bigger and less sexy than that. I quite fancy one of those. And then '88 was when it started to become a little bit interesting. This is the first mobile phone call on television. But interestingly, Salomon have kind of branded it by putting a sticker on the phone. So we started to click onto mobile. This was Frank Picard winning the Super G in the World Winter Olympics. And then 1997, this was the launch of the first smartphone. This is the Philips Synergy. And guess what? It could read your faxes. And this was when I got interested in mobile. 1999, I mean, as a creative, we're in the business of human understanding, right? We use human understanding to create business advantage for our clients. And I think when Barbie gets her first mobile, pretty much everyone's got one. And it's taken us a long time to understand the format, about 10 years. And I'm going to talk about the format of television as well in a minute. But I think it was about 2005 when people started to embrace mobile for not just more than making calls. And here we've got a load of people at a concert, a Live 8 concert in England, and they've got their phones in the air. And I just want to try something with you guys. Can you all get your phones out for me and hold them in the air, please? Now, I have our esteemed CEO's Twitter hashtag here, and I also have Kantar Media's, and what I'm going to do is take a photo of it and tweet all of you, but... Okay, so everyone's got their phones in the air. Let me just take a couple of shots. Now, I want to ask, can you all pass your phone to the person on your left, please? Now, because you're all friends, I'm going to ask you to do that again. So could you pass that phone to the left again, please? If you were strangers, I wouldn't ask to do it twice. So I've got a simple question, okay? How does that make you feel? Okay, so if we could pass them all back, if everyone could pass their phone back, please. I'd like to answer that. I've got an answer. I think you feel like you've lost a limb, right? Well, the point here is, the next time you come to do any work on mobile, try and start from that feeling that you just got, because we all pretend to understand how personal the mobile device is. but we don't really. It's a physiological thing. It's part of our human condition today. So, you know, it's a really good exercise to start from there. The work needs to come from the heart. This is 2006. This is a load of students at the Ramallah University taking a photo of Stephen Hawking as he's arriving for a lecture. And I think this is really interesting because there's no digital cameras in this picture, and we all know the effect the mobile phones had on the digital camera industry, and it's all coming through now with credit cards and wallets as well. Only in America, sorry about any Americans in the audience, but this is the World Texting Championships. 2007, and I've got a little clip at the end which I'll remind us, showing how fast these guys are texting. 2008, the launch of the iPhone. 2010, the Google Nexus 1. Both of these phones, separately, have more computing power than the entire Apollo moon mission, including all of the computers on the ground and in space put together. If you think the capsule and the skyrocket ran on 0.5 K, and this phone has 32 gig, and obviously there's 1,000 K in a meg and 1,000 meg in a gig. So the point here is, of course, these aren't mobile phones, these are computers in our pockets. And I think in terms of context, it's really useful to think of them like that. So just to round off the context piece, I just wanted to make a quote from Steve Jobs. He said, "You can't just ask your customers what they want and then give them that, because by the time you do, they won't want it anymore, by the time you get it out there." And I think from a mobile perspective, in terms of the work that we try and do, you know, we need to innovate and we need to show people what it's all about. And I think the way to do that is to understand the format. And the format of mobile as a medium is incredibly powerful but really important. So how do we do that? Well, I think, go back to Mad Men again, any new medium tends to borrow from the medium that came before. And that's my point. So mobiles borrowed banners from the internet and texts from emails. It's not mobile stuff. So what is it? Well, to prove my point, I've got the first TV ad here. And I thought I'd challenge you all. Does anyone know what the first ever TV ad was? Surely. No, it's a trick question. It was for Boulevard watches. It was in the middle of the baseball in 1941. I've got the ad here, which I'm going to play to prove my point, but I couldn't find the audio, so I'm going to have to do that myself. So here we go. America runs on pullover time. You're a lovely audience, but I can't stand another 12.5 seconds. Yeah, that's it. The world's first TV ad. Blatantly borrowing from press and radio, right? Press ad and a radio, 30-second spot with 5-second copy in the middle. But when you're standing up here and there's nothing else going on, that 30 seconds feels like a lifetime. And I think, you know, it singularly fails to fulfill the potential of the medium, right? And it took about 10 years to learn how to do TV with the great kind of emotional work we have today. And it's the same with mobile. We've been going about 12 years now, and we've kind of cracked it. It's not that complicated, though. So the format of television is defined by the unique elements of the device, right, which is a speaker and a screen. So we make film and sound, and it's the same thing with mobile. So the format is defined by the unique elements of the mobile device, which is the microphone, the speaker, the touch screen, the camera, the GPS chip, the accelerometer, and so on. And that's it. You know, if we're going to do work on mobile, first of all, we need to, you know, realize how personal it is, and secondly, work with one of these elements from a creative perspective, and then it's mobile, because these are unique to mobile devices. What I've got here is my first campaign, which really came from this place, and it was for Fanta, and the brief was more play, and this was actually 5 years ago, and it was way before the iPhone came out, and I just wanted to play the award entry film.
Fanta believed teens should have the right to play. This idea was inspired by the controversial ultrasonic alarms used to disperse teenage groups. These play high-pitched sounds which only young people can hear. When you get older, you can't hear these sounds anymore, as your hearing naturally gets worse.
Morning First, our main story for you this morning. The sonic device known as the mosquito, used to stop teenagers gathering near public places, should be banned. That's according to England's Children's Commissioner.
The mosquito, as it's called, emits a high-pitched noise which manufacturers claim can only be heard by those under 25. Critics say it's an ineffective way of tackling antisocial behaviour and that it demonises young people.
We turned this technology on its head. The mobile application we invented, the Fanta Stealth sound system, enables the same teenagers to communicate between themselves using these high-pitched frequencies which adults cannot hear. The application has already generated considerable media interest. Directions to the website is on over 50 million packs in Great Britain. The viral film has been seeded to over 4 million teenagers across Europe.
We felt this is the perfect way of engaging with our core target group of teenagers in a way that we haven't done before. So I mean, it's a one thing to put out a TV ad that is nice, and it's another thing to actually put out something that consumers are excited about and that they use every day amongst their peers. So it helped us to become part of a community, and the community is our teenagers. So it's brilliant. It's a perfect tool to, that represents what Fanta stands for, to overcome, adulthood and boredom. That is part of that, and give our core target group a way to communicate with each other without the rest of the world knowing. So, I mean, how cool is that? I personally like just the facial expressions of people who can hear it versus those who cannot hear it. And if you put both together in one room, it's amazing the reactions that you see.
As a demonstration, and just in case you don't understand the idea fully, we have been playing the stealth sounds all the way through this film. So those of you around the age of 16 will have heard the sounds loud and clear, and those over a certain age would have heard absolutely nothing at all.
So that was the Fanta work, which came from the brief more play and the idea that, kids want to talk in private without adults knowing what, in code. But we focused on wanting to use the speaker because we thought it was unique that people were walking around with a device that had a speaker in it. I've got another one here. This is how it looked, by the way, all those years ago. I've got another one here for Coke Zero, which hasn't launched yet. And the brief for this is the oh shit moment. Literally, I don't know if you've seen the TV ad, but there's a guy in bed with his girlfriend. He's on the job, so to speak. And her dad comes home, ka-chunk, door shuts, hi, I'm home. And he's like, oh shit, and he's running around the bedroom, doesn't know what to do. He picks up a Coke Zero and has a random swig. And suddenly, the whole world changes because the Coke Zero chopper flies in, and, in come the SWAT team with the guns. They clean up the room. She's in the shower, and then they zip him out. And Dad walks in, and it's all clean. And the brief to me was bring that to life on mobile. So the idea is, this kind of SWAT kit, the SWAT tools, but we wanted to use unique elements of the device again, to make it mobile. And the thing about the iPhone is the home button. When you're on the iPhone making a call, you can press the home button and do stuff with apps, and that's unique to the phone. So we thought it would be great, to make an app which helped you get out of this moment. So if your boss calls and you don't want to speak to him, you can click the home button and say, oh, hi, sorry, I can't talk right now. I'm a bit busy. You might need to turn the volume up a little bit. I've joined the circus. I've got to go. Or, maybe more interestingly, if your mates call, say, oh, sorry, I can't talk. I'm a bit lonely. I'm a bit busy. Yeah, I've got to go. Sorry. But, really simple stuff, but still people love it. It's unique to mobile. And I've got one more piece here, which we just won a Lion last week for this. And again, it uses a unique element of the device, which is the compass and the accelerometer. And this was for the Dutch Railway, NS, and they have a royal waiting rooms in Amsterdam and The Hague that no one's ever seen. So we wanted to open that up to the public, but using some unique things about the iPad.
Hidden away from the public behind the railway station walls of Amsterdam and Den Haag are world-leading examples of exquisite craftsmanship, the royal waiting rooms. Although extensive and remarkable in decoration, the pure and delicate nature of the rooms have only been enjoyed exclusively by the royal family. Our challenge? Reveal the beauty of the royal waiting rooms to the public in a way that shows the timeless craft which people will probably never experience firsthand. Creating bespoke panoramic technology for mobile devices, we were able to capture and publish the incredible physical environment and bring it to life. 360-degree imagery and film for mobile devices has been done before, but this was the first to allow the user to direct the journey and experience themselves. Touching hotspots opens information about specific items on screen, and the high-definition imagery allows the user to zoom in and view the fine details of the awnings that decorate the rooms, just as they would in a museum. Our homemade mobile technology created a truly immersive experience. We put the craft of the subject into the work, transforming the royal waiting rooms into a virtual experience that gives the public their own personal journey in the comfort of their own environment. The 360 application for NS has made the impossible possible.
The thing that I like about that is there is no other kind of device in the world that you can do, this kind of thing with, which you move around using the compass and you can look at stuff. And it's interesting, with the ad units on mobile, like the iAd, the Apple iAd, they're starting to use the unique elements of the devices. So there are a couple of banners that use this kind of system, and it's starting to emerge now. So anyway, up until now, everything we've looked at has been local to the mobile. So you download it and it works on your phone. You don't need to connect to the internet. But with cloud computing, all this stuff gets a lot more interesting. So Google Maps is the perfect example of a cloud computing app because it does all the heavy lifting processing work in the cloud on Google servers. And with the cloud, these elements change. They become more interesting. So the microphone becomes your ears. The touch screen become your skin as a brand because you can really track and get interesting in what people are doing. The speaker becomes your mouth. You've seen that. But the camera can become your eyes, and so on. And I've got a couple of cases here which I wanted to show. Again, this was a job I did for Wimbledon and IBM, and we tracked 500 locations within Wimbledon. And if you pointed your phone at those locations, we could give you real data on what was happening, how many taxis were down the road. But then we thought, well, with the power of the cloud, that's not quite enough. And we thought, wouldn't it be magical if you could plug the TV cameras in? So if you were in court 13 or queuing up outside and you heard a big roar on centre court, you could point your phone towards there, click the icon and see live what was happening. And we put a camera down at the taxi rank so you could see how many taxis were there and this kind of thing. And again, this was something which was really embraced and it was really popular. So I'm just going to show this.
Wimbledon, the greatest tennis tournament in the world. The problem? Only a lucky few get to watch the big matches live. This year, we decided to help thousands of other fans do the same. Our solution? To let them see through walls by developing an app that let them do just that. We took the award-winning SEA 2009, the first augmented reality app to use live data, and made it better. Now users could point their phones at any of the main courts and watch all the action live. The app was loaded with other features too. There was live video so the public could avoid taxi queues and find friends on Henman Hill. There were also Twitter feeds, live broadcasts from Radio Wimbledon, and live updates of just about everything else too. SEA was targeted at VIP guests and showed how IBM is using data to help make the planet and Wimbledon smarter. The public loved it too. So did the media. SEA was on the national news.
Wimbledon gets underway next week, as I'm sure you know, and guess what? They're serving up an app for that too. It provides live scores, stats, data feeds, live streaming of television coverage from on and off the court, all based on the user's exact location within the All England club.
IBM is showing me a very clever mobile phone app. It can only be used within Wimbledon, but once you're in, you can see through walls.
This is the IBM SEA. Users on site can do everything from finding the nearest toilets and food outlets to checking out the scores on various courts. but the pièce de résistance is using the app to see behind walls.
So you're also featured in the national press.
Two-step, two-step, two-step. Hey, you ever need a guy, a partner for a week? You pull in my direction and just come and follow me.
As well as on countless blogs.
And maybe you can twerk, so show me what you got in terms of fancy footwork.
The upshot is that IBM...
So that's kind of it on the format stuff, but I just wanted to look at a little bit of dual screening, because everyone's talking about it, and I've said, you know, mobile and TV sitting in a tree, KISSING. It's a massive trend in the UK, and I don't know if you've all seen the Heineken Star Player app, but this is an app which dual screens with the television for live football. It's live for the Euros, and you can play. So if there's a penalty, it goes ding, and it asks you, where do you think he's going to go? Top corner left, top right corner, in real time, which is incredible. They've actually done it with humans, but going forward, you know, these apps are going to integrate more with TV programming, but they've got people at the matches controlling the apps. So I thought it would be interesting to have a look at this.
The UEFA Champions League is watched by over 1 billion people worldwide, often on their own at home. We wanted to make their TV experience more like being a fan in the stands, more active, more social, more thrills. This is Heineken Star Player. Star Player gives you skin in every game. Prove your football instincts by responding live to critical match moments. Anticipate and react in real time as the game plays out, just like the teams on the pitch. Stay one step ahead of the action as you create a stake in every shot, corner, free kick or penalty. Dialing up the tension and getting right inside the game. So no matter who's playing, you'll have a reason to celebrate. Star Player is a world first, exploiting the opportunities of dual screening and connecting viewers with their social network, either via the Star Player iPhone app or the Facebook platform, allowing them to create leagues to compete with their friends and the world, choosing any fixture to play along live, and, as the countdown begins, get in the game. Running in the background while you watch the match, football experts instantly send alerts for every Star Player moment, so every corner, free kick and penalty is an opportunity to score. And for those moments when even the greatest match is slow, there's the chance to prove your knowledge with Heineken bonus questions. If your instincts are sharp and you anticipate a goal is coming, hit the Goal Now button. If they score within 30 seconds, so do you. See how your score compares with your friends at any time in a match. Check how you stack up against the world and earn rewards for a star performance. Finally, once the full-time whistle blows and the scores are in, share the glory and claim your bragging rights on Facebook. Star Player launched on the 26th of April for the first leg of the semi-finals and immediately set the football world alight, changing the way football is watched forever and delivering a full 90 minutes of brand engagement per player, per game. Star Player kicks off again worldwide in September on multiple platforms for all 125 of next season's UEFA Champions League matches. This is football like never before. This is Heineken Star Player.
That's pretty nuts, right? They're claiming 90 minutes brand engagement per user, which is pretty big claim. I think another really interesting piece is ZBox in the UK. I guess there's loads of people here familiar with ZBox, and I'd love to demonstrate it to you, but I recommend you download it to your iPad and play with it, because it's incredible, and basically it socializes television and it's dual screening. So here you've got the TV listings, and basically it gives you the audience, and it says the audience is declining, growing, but that's the audience of ZBox users, you know, looking at this stuff. And when you click on it, let's say we clicked on one of these two TV programs, it lists you as watching them. So I'm logged in and it says I'm now watching. All my mates on Facebook and Twitter know that I'm watching it. And it's a bit like in the old days when people would call each other when they're watching a TV show. This socializes it. And you also get all the tweets from the stars, But very interesting are these Z tags. So the app listens to the show. It uses voice recognition to turn what they're talking about into these tags. And basically, they've just talked about the Doors. Now, if you click on that, it opens up Wikipedia, and you get all sorts of information about the Doors. But here, this turns into an app shop, and you get all the different apps related to the content of the show. So please, do download ZBox and have a look, because it's incredibly interesting, and it's much bigger than we've got time to look at today. But, socializing and dual screening in the UK is taking off, and they're launching it worldwide, I believe, pretty soon. So, just the last couple of minutes now, I want to talk about the future and where I think we'll be in the year 2020. And it's basically 5 insights. They take, less than a minute each. The first one is, I think, hardware will be hyper-connected. It's quite simple, devices will talk to each other very, very quickly. And here we have a guy in a restaurant, and his table is a Surface computer, like the Microsoft Surface, and his mobile, he puts it down, and the table asks him, hey, do you want to buy another drink for these guys, or do you want to pay? And you can click now to pay on your phone, and here we've got a little ad, would you like to book a cab? But I think the point is that, this hardware will be hyper-connected, and this is fridges, cars, TVs, everything. And I think it follows that software will be hyper-connected too. So here we've got, and by software I mean your profiles, right? Your Facebook profile, your Amazon profile, your local grocer's, Tesco's profile, this kind of thing will be hyper-connected. And here we've got a guy watching a James Bond movie, his phone's connected to the TV, and guess what? That jacket there is perfectly in his profile, so his phone buzzes and he says, do you want to buy this jacket right now? And I think, this is going to happen a lot quicker than 2020, but hyper-connected software. So it follows that, mobile, in terms of what we do on it as work, will become more and more contextual. I'd probably argue that, the BBC may be a bit worried about this, or I don't know, I might be dreaming, but perhaps one day advertising will become a real service. And I think, this kind of hyper-connected society will aid that. And we've got somebody, who's benefiting from having a brand connection. But it kind of follows that this mobile device will become like a digital wand. And I think this is a bit like Minority Report with Tom Cruise, when he was walking past the outdoor ads and it was scanning his iris and they were changing. It was enough to give you an epileptic fit, really. But this is kind of the opposite. We've got a Ford ad here of the future, and basically 3 people are walking past it and the contents of their phone are different because of their profiles. So we've got a guy with the latest car, we've got a guy, the car is actually telling his phone that it needs oil and some filters, and he's getting an offer to buy them. And then here we've got a guy who's on holiday, renting a car. But this digital wand, I think, will direct this advertising, but it's not really advertising. So I did a campaign in New York last year for Amex, where you could make a piece of art on your phone and fling it up to the screen in Times Square. And it kind of had this idea about this digital wand. And I think here we've got a lady who's been to the Dome, which is a music venue in the UK, and on the way out she's got an ad here from The Futures, which is a band, and the ad is giving her a song, a trial song, and she's chosen to play it in her car. Pretty simple, this already exists, but I think she'll be able to go home and fling it onto the television or the stereo. So mobile directed advertising, but the thing is, it's not really advertising. I think advertising's changed. So it used to be about the powerful preaching to the grateful, right? When I was a kid, I was really grateful for those like Heineken ads, refreshing beers at Christmas, and these kind of really, really cool ads, and I enjoyed that. And it doesn't really happen anymore, maybe a little bit in the Super Bowl, but that's about it. And I think also they're not grateful anymore, they're powerful. So we used to be the powerful and they were the grateful, and it's changed. I call it the Susan Boyle effect, they can kill you in a moment on Twitter. So where we are today, I think, is in experiences. So instead of making ads, we make insight-driven brand experiences. But in the future, I think what we'll have to do as creatives is give them real ideas of value as ads, and that's kind of what I've been trying to put through these last section here, in that, we'll have to give them something which is, literally of value, and that's the ad. And it's not the best illustration, but here we've got a lady with an internet fridge, These exist already, and it knows what's in it. It has scales on its shelves, and you can scan products into it. And on the way to the supermarket, her fridge pings her phone, and it says, hey, you've got some old pasta and some chicken. They're just about to go off, you know. And there's an ad from Hellmann's, and it says, hey, buy a jar of Hellmann's, but here's a really great recipe to use right now with the stuff that's in your fridge. I think you kind of get the point. It's not the best illustration, but I think this is an idea which we will give to this lady as an ad, and hopefully it'll have some value. So that's it from me. I just want to show you this final video. You remember the Coke Zero oh shit moment? Excuse my French, sorry, but and also the World Texting Championships in America. And at the start of this film, we've got a guy who, and we haven't speeded him up. And this is a sneak preview. This hasn't launched yet. So I just want to show you, this is another one of the SWAT team apps.
Coke Zero believe that young men should be free to behave like, well, young men. These young men live their lives through their mobile phones. Everything they say, think, or do is recorded here.
Oxford University have done a survey of 6,000 people, and they have found 1 in 5 couples regularly snoop on each other's emails and texts.
These men need a tool to keep the evidence of their real life secret. So we created the Cleaner, a mobile security device that hides private content from girlfriends, bosses, and mates. For the first time, Coke Zero's The Cleaner gives young men fake screens so they can leave their phones lying around without worrying about people seeing their private content. You simply choose who you want to target, and then at the touch of a button, the relevant fake apps, photos, or text messages appear. If your girlfriend snoops at your phone, she'll be pleased to see apps like SeatMinder Pro, Do-Gooder Plus, and Football Schmootball. If she goes through your photos, what she'll find with the Cleaner app is innocent pictures of cute kittens, beautiful flowers, and fluffy white clouds. And if your girlfriend looks at your texts, she'll find fake messages from mates such as, sorry you can't come to the footy, seeing that wonderful girlfriend of yours. If your boss snoops, he'll find serious competitive photos of a real winner and messages like, stop working, none of us remember your face. Your mates will discover your hidden talents with apps like the 10-inch Club and Blonde Aficionado, photos of pouting babes, and texts from adoring admirers like, you are so funny. All my cute girlfriends want to meet you as well. If the person keeps on snooping, a fake error message appears, making it look like the phone has crashed and frozen. The Cleaner will be launched on the App Store and the Coke Zero website.
So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter and download the Hong Kong app. Thank you very much.